Hey guys, it's Christina. This is Vox and Guest, and I am joined today by William and Melissa of SEPSISS. Light it up, guys. Say hello. How you guys doing? Look at this.
Hi.
Look how pretty they are. Look at this.
Hi. He's totally making
You
fun
can
of me.
you can
You're the
tease her.
voice. She's the voice.
And it would be great if you got on stage and everyone was just like, "Da-na-na-na-na," and you walked up to the mic and you're like, "Hi."
That's how she kept. Well, that's how she started out. That's how we started the band when we first started the
It's
band.
totally me.
That's how she used to
All
come
day.
on stage. No one will believe it today, but when we first started, she used to come out just like that, and she used to hang on and hug on to the
I
mic
was
stand.
scared.
Yes.
It was-
Okay, you should have just, covered it in wolf tails, made it a little pet. You could have hugged it and sat with it,
turned
and
into
then
my den.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say you've gotten over that now by a lot. So okay, I'm gonna rein it in right now. Say a quick hello, introduce yourselves briefly, and then we'll get into it.
So hi, my name's Melissa Wolf. I am the lead singer for SEPSISS.
I don't know who she is. I've just been teleported here in 2023. I'm not really sure who I am and why this is so important, but I know that she must be important because I'm at her right side.
There you go.
That was
And also,
quite
his name is William.
I do play guitar in the band.
He
I play
does,
guitar in the band.
And a
Melissa
few other
hired me in the
things.
band.
a few other things. Yeah.
Hired.
A few other things. Okay, so we've got Melissa and William here. So guys, I'm going to start out with a deeply serious, thoughtful, meaningful, intense philosophical question, all right? And I think you can handle it, but if you need moral support or whatever, I'm here, all right? But we're going to get through this and then we'll go to the next one. Are you ready for it? Okay.
ready.
If life were a video game, what is the cheat code that you would most want to have?
Up, up, down, down, left, right, the Konami code. The universal Konami
That was a
code.
really good one. That's a great answer.
And but William, what would it do? What would it do in life?
It gives you unlimited lives.
Okay, so you want immortality. That's your cheat code.
Yeah, so the universal Konami code.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
Konami is a Nintendo software game maker from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
And they made a popular game called Contra. And the game was so hard, no one could beat it past level 2. So the only way that you could beat it was this cheat code that Konami had to make. And the cheat code was so popular that it became the universal Konami code.
Yep. Gamer here. I'm well familiar. But okay, so it would give you, as it does, unlimited lives. Okay, all right, Melissa.
So I don't normally use cheat codes, so I don't know a lot about them. However, maybe it's something that would unlock some like special power, like, I don't know, sonic breath or something.
Oh, you'd be like, what's her name in Mortal Kombat that screams and breaks people's skeletons and stuff?
At first I thought you said sonic breasts, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome. I'm like, I would probably try that at least once, whatever the hell it was, just
It's definitely a valuable trait.
Sonic breasts. Yeah, if you guys ever change the name of the band, I think that's definitely what you got to go for. So okay, so you want sonic breath, maybe breasts too. We're not going to limit you at this point. You're Melissa, you can have 2. All right, and it will just make you
bend the atmosphere with your.
I could do whatever with my voice.
I got you. So you're like Storm from the X-Men, but instead of weather, it's sound.
Sure.
So you're basically the girl that you
like
are
a
in
siren.
Okay, so then you are the person that you are in your music videos.
All the time. Okay. I like that. I like it. William has encapsulated the whole thing. There we go. All right. So you guys, I have so much to talk to you about. I have so many things to ask, to say, to just go over with you. But let's start at the very beginning. So you guys have been a band now for 13 years. How did you two get started in SEPSISS? How did you meet, and how did the band form in the first place, for those who don't know?
We met through Craigslist. We are a couple of Craigslist babies.
That's true. That's true for like many of our members, though.
Yeah.
We've met a lot. We're definitely like an internet band.
Yeah.
If it's not Craigslist, then it's like Facebook or something.
And that's not because we're good guys or bad guys. I mean, that's just at the time, those were the tools that were most popular for for like researching music or looking for band members.
Yeah.
Back then, though, it was like extra scary because they had the whole Craigslist killer thing going on and everything. And I was young.
You really didn't know what you were getting into. So, but my understanding is that, William, you were auditioning and there was some other chick that was supposed to show up and she bailed and Melissa walked in, right?
That's true. There was an Ashley.
An Ashley.
There was an Ashley, and I up until Melissa walking in, I thought that Melissa was Ashley. But we had a hip hop studio. I grew up as first I was a DJ, and later on I was a gangster rapper, and I had a studio, and we were finishing up a session doing a gangster rap song. And that's when Melissa walked in.
It was crazy down there. Oh my gosh. So I brought one friend with me. And I was like,
because Craigslist killer. Yeah.
I don't want to go by myself. So I
don't blame you.
I was smart.
And like you said, they were all rapping. And I was like trying to make sure that I was there for a metal tryout.
She was very polite. She just waited like in the green room area or by the door.
If you call that a green room.
and
small area with the green rug on the floor.
Area. And she just politely waited there for us to finish up rapping.
Yeah. And then you started showing me some of your guitar tricks and everything, which were very good.
I like how you call that guitar tricks.
I mean, what else are you going to call it?
That's good enough for me.
Like he pulls a rabbit out of the headstock or something, just like
I'm sure they looked like a trick that day because we went from rapping into
it was a wild afternoon for me. It was absolutely insane.
Shock to the senses.
So did you just walk in, Melissa, and be like, "Hi,
yes.
I'm not supposed to rap, right?"
Yes, that was me all day. I did eventually get to show him some of the covers I was working on.
Yeah.
And I had some originals from like some previous bands I was in at the time.
Okay.
And I showed him some of that, and he was like, "Okay, we can work with this." We just kind of like went from there.
Yeah, I liked Melissa because like either one of us weren't very good, but she seemed so much more rock and roll than me.
We were so
I was
bad.
like, oh man, if I stick with her, I'm gonna, this will be my chance at making sense out of this guitar thing.
I gotcha. Okay, so you both sort of pulled each other towards the middle a little bit. It sounds like,
man, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and that began. You guys have had such a storied. Long, 13 years for a band, whether it's the same original lineup, which rarely happens, or it's, core people and whatever. 13 years for a band. First of all, just congratulations, having been in bands for my entire life. And I don't think anything has stayed together for longer than maybe 4 or 5 years. So you guys are clearly doing something right to be still kicking at this point. And I mean, more than kicking, I would say, obviously, because clearly you guys have a huge, loyal, happily rabid fan base. Your smarmies love the shit out of you guys. And you're always doing stuff with them, which is one of the things that we'll talk about as we go. But so, okay, you guys formed, you started out, and now you're here. And you've just come out with a single called Bleed Lines, right?
As you describe this, you're describing the band, and I'm getting this full plate, as you're describing it, and you're like, wow, in its totality, you're trying to define it and shape it. And at the same time, that's how we feel about being in it. As you're trying to describe it and trying to look at it in its totality and trying to make sense of it, that's what it feels like being in it. Well,
William, it's funny, when I do this show, I and I'm prepping, I try to listen to absolutely everything that's available. So I go through all the Spotify, all the streaming websites, EPKs, everything, whatever. And you guys have a ton of stuff on YouTube. You have you had Road to the Throne when you were looking for a new drummer. You have Road to the Swarm now. We're going to get to all of that stuff, but one of the things that I so enjoy about you, William, is in my head, I have a nickname for you, and it is Professor HeadRush. Okay. And because William, for those who haven't checked out the stuff on YouTube, where it's basically just the band opening up their life, trying to do whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's filming a video, auditioning new people, whatever it is, very transparent about the whole thing and letting everybody in and watching. And so William and Lexi will be driving around. He's trying to keep her from running people over in traffic, whatever, and then they'll, get sucked into a Guitar Center just magically somehow, whatever. And William is always talking about this pedal board, this HeadRush pedal board, which I'm assuming you have one, I hope.
Oh my God. I love this thing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a complete monster, but like one of the things in watching all of this stuff that I noticed is that you guys you are very difficult to define, which I actually always find incredibly interesting because you're hard rock, you're metal, you've got some dark pop influences, you've got all that stuff going on. You've got William on the growly vocals, the aggressive, lower end vox. You've got Melissa up here, just beautiful, in the upper space there. You guys have a seriously kick-ass low end. I mean, bass, drums, everything. And it's not like anything that I've heard, but it sounds enough like a lot of stuff that I've heard that I'm pulled into it because there's a sense of this is something I know, this is something I like, this is something I'm interested in. But then it's uniquely SEPSISS, right? So as musically, you guys are difficult to define, but then also as people, the first I knew of you guys was a still shot, and I'm looking at the two of you and it's like, okay, these guys they're not fucking around. They have an image, they have a whole look, they have a vibe, whatever. And then I saw the videos and I was like, but wait a minute. They're funny and they're approachable and they're candid about things. And so I don't really have a question about that. It's just sort of a comment because, when people started hearing that I was going to be interviewing SEPSISS, they were like, oh, I've heard this or I've heard that or I don't, this, that or whatever. Like, and I was like, yeah, but no, I'm watching them. I'm listening to them. I'm, hearing the music, I'm hearing whatever. And you guys put it all out there. You really do. But it just, that's unusual.
You touched on something there that is the nucleus of our business model.
Okay.
And it's also the nucleus of our conversation. And that's authenticity. And sometimes people wonder why we're so public. And one of the reasons is it dawned on us early that a lot of musicians are embarrassed to say that they want attention in the first place. Okay, so it's not, but for us, it's not really about the what you're doing. It's more about the why. And at examination and measuring other musicians, we saw a lot of musicians are making music maybe for the wrong reasons. And it's not that there's good guys and bad guys and heroes and villains. It's that we're all taught this. We're taught this as kids,
right?
When we're buying products, and we enter this rock star, kind of product. It's like chasing a carrot,
Yeah.
All the products lead to self-worship, they all lead to the selfie, and we have all these big corporations and people that making, millions and billions of dollars off of people wanting to be rock stars.
Yep.
But if you ask musicians if they're making music to get attention, they won't admit it.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, and I think there's nothing wrong with it either. Well, I mean, like,
and the deeper you get into hard rock and metal, the popular bands get made fun of. The bands that are advertising, the bands that are public, the bands that put themselves out there are often made fun of. If you're advertising or you admit, hey, we're on social media because we want to be popular.
Yeah.
that's unheard of in our circle.
Yeah.
So for us, we've always been unique in that sense, because for me and Melissa, we come from different backgrounds, being from rap and pop and different.
So many different influences.
So
people have called us like pop, metal, gent. Like there's like so many.
What I want to focus on there is, and that's where the confusion lies. That's where you said earlier about the imagery, and that's where therein lies the crystalline structure, as they say, is that today in modern entertainment, you're accelerated and you're beamed in at 20-second clips or 30-second clips of my big mouth or a breakdown or Melissa's belly ring.
You get a sound bite.
And then you know everything about us.
Right.
When you hear something online or you do rumors, that's tabloid. But in a popularity contest, that just means we're winning. So the best artists that we can relate to, me and Melissa's favorite artists were the artists that put all of themselves out there.
They
gave their fans, that were most generous in prioritizing their fans.
And as you said, had authenticity, right? That's the nucleus, as you said. That's the thing that it has to ground everything.
Yes, and for us, we talked about what it's like being a band for over a decade. And off camera, we even talked about the idea of talking about members or not talking about members specifically. But I do want to point out that we've had over 30 members and over 100 staff members. That's not because we're villains, or that's not a topic we want to avoid, because it says and illustrates exactly who we are. And at first, that means we are a company, we're a business, and we're designed to survive.
Right.
We're designed for longevity. So when you think about Sepsis, you have to think about a man and a woman that created a business 10 years ago. People get hired, people get fired.
Right.
But one of our goals is longevity.
Right.
And in a viral world, that's hard for people to understand.
Absolutely. Well, and also for you, I think one of the things that I really appreciated, and I think it's whether you're, just coming into the music world, if you're a cover band like we are, if you're, that you want to make music, but you're not expecting to be signed or be touring or anything on that level, or you're at your level, or you're at the level of, the Beatles or whatever. The whole point of it is you've got music you want to make, you've got music you believe in, you've got to be, I think it sucks to have to be both creative and a business person, because they both seem like
Christina, the most driven person in the room is a fucking villain. The most ambitious, the most creative and popular, hungry, ambitious band in the world is going to be looked at. Look at bands like Metallica or Kiss or the most popular hard rock bands there are the bands that are, the equivalent, it's arguing sticks to branches. But there's another reason why we put out all this material and why we repurpose our authenticity. Simply because our competitors are predictable and we know that they won't.
So it's also an edge. Yeah.
Yes. We also know that people talk a lot of shit about us online. So we make ourselves that much more observable.
Because but that's it. If you have nothing to hide, then you have no skeletons in the closet. And so, if there are things that people are going to shit on you about, you've probably already talked about them.
The Road to the Throne series was a joke in the back room after band practice. And we'd say, we need to make a reality show about how hard it is to keep band members. And somebody laughed at the joke. And I said, from here on out, I don't care, for the lifetime of the band, when people come in and go out, we're going to start recording it.
Yeah. Why not? No, but look, William,
we have not, and this is hard for people to understand. In 13 years, to understand sepsis is to understand timelines, not behaviors and attitudes and success and measuring all of that. It's timelines. And the truth is like, we don't have a huge catalog. And in the timeline, me and Melissa had not decided to be a professional band until the end of 2018.
Right.
So we were a band that was, mostly popular local for having great parties and having a good time. We never said, here we are, we want to do records, we think we're good at stuff. We were still in such a place of self-discovery. We didn't know we knew the what, but we didn't know the why. So there was a lot of personal inventory, sonically speaking, of course, and then looking at what we were capable of in a world that was changing. Touring was changing, gear was changing, technology was changing. So, this is never a topic that we want to avoid. It's very much a topic that we want to keep at the forefront of our authenticity, because it reminds people that we set out knowing what we want to be when we grow up. And that we do make, this is a big gift shop, and our music is the soundtrack to the gift shop, and that gift shop belongs to the community. And we were talking about why we open up to people so publicly about the good and the bad. And that is because it helps us drive our story, and it helps us make it observable to people so they can measure for themselves, because we've always wanted the fans. We've always wanted to have and take on the responsibility of connecting with fans that wanted to be here. We never wanted to convert people to work here. We never want people playing our music that weren't excited about it or share our goals. We don't like to hold people hostage or play tricks on people, or, you know what I mean? We don't have a big...
I do. And one of the things that I really, because, look, there are a lot of bands that have signed up to be on this show. There are a lot of bands, and I go through and I go, okay, you never know who you're going to be talking to until you sit down and start talking to them. Right. And so what I thought was so interesting about the decision that you guys made to open the back doors to, Road to the Throne, finding your drummer, Road to the Swarm, rebuilding the band now, is that you're an interesting dude, William. And I mean that in a good way, because you clearly, and give me a minute here, because I want to make sure I can articulate this, but you're clearly driven, right? You have a sense of what you guys can do. You have a plan for what you want to do. You have, if it's not laid out exit by exit, you have a roadmap of where you want to go with this band. Okay. Yeah. And you have the drive to do that, which doesn't, as you said, inherently make you a villain or an asshole at all. Although people who don't have it, don't get it, don't appreciate it, whatever, might cast you as a villain because it works for their narrative. Right. But I'm watching Road to the Throne, and I'm watching you on the phone having these conversations with dudes who are like, yeah, I had this cracked phone and I got to buy this. And, my people got murdered and stabbed and whatever. And you were in it, there's a personal side there too. And so you're not just sitting there making cold business decisions. There's another element to you where you do realize that a band is like a family. You do realize that if you don't get along, no matter how talented the people are, it's eventually not going to work. And what I liked is that both of you are upfront about what you want. You are upfront about the aesthetics of the band, physically, the high energy that's required on stage, the passion, the performance, the choreography. I mean, you guys, you're doing what you need to do to succeed in this industry, which is not dictated by you, it's dictated by the industry, right? But there wasn't a sense, for me, at least, delving into the world of sepsis of okay, they don't give a fuck about people, or they're not interested in the personalities or whatever. There are bands who have members where they're not serving the band, but because there's a personal relationship, you keep the band member on, and eventually that always blows up. There are bands where you only get the people who are technically excellent but you have no relationship with them. And so at some point, if the business dissolves, it's like you just pull out. There's no emotional equity there, right?
Yeah.
But you guys sort of seem to be landing to me in the middle. And this is the actual question coming out of all the talking that I'm doing, is that
for sure. No, this is great.
The way that I look at what you're doing, even now, especially. So for guys who don't know, because I know a lot of people watching this may be in an element of the community that isn't as familiar with sepsis. So they just had what I think of as kind of an assisted exodus of members, something that was kind of mutually beneficial and, tacitly agreed on, whatever. And so more interestingly, they're rebuilding the lineup, and they're doing it in a very thoughtful, measured way. They're not just pulling people in because they want to fill up the lineup, right? But the sense that I get is that you are looking for people who have both the skill that you require as a band, but also can, if not iterate vision, at least understand and share your vision for the band so that they have the ambition that they need to perform the way they need to and to show up on stage and as a band member in a way that's going to fit with the whole sepsis ethos. Yes. And I don't think in that way, what you're doing is any different from what any other band that's paying attention to trying to build a band that will actually function is doing. You're just doing it maybe on a different level. Let me, before we get too much further, because I want to make sure to get to this early on, because we can talk about it more afterwards, especially, but you did just put out Bleed Lines. You did just film a pretty epic video for it. And we're going to roll it now. Did you guys want to say a little bit about it before we start playing the song?
Well, Bleed Lines is a new song. This is actually really about like bringing people together on this one.
Yeah, it's like, we're definitely taking on the stride of the people's metal.
For sure.
Okay. I think that's a good line to go to it on. So let us roll Bleed Lines by Sepsis. So, I mean, that song, is doing well. It should be doing well. You guys are probably tired of hearing what I assume are the common comparisons that you get to bands like Evanescence and Paramore and Hailstorm and, all these other, female fronted bands that have elements, whatever. And again, I hear it, but I think it's crafted differently than that, the music, and I mean, one of the things that I've noticed just listening through, because the first time I listen to anything by a band in prepping, I'll just sit there with my eyes closed and I'm just listening, and I'm paying attention because I actually want to hear what's being said, hear what's being played. And one of the things that I find so engaging about listening to SEPSISS, the music, is that everything has its sonic space. Right? You guys have thought out what's going where, what's going to not compete with what, where the holes are, what you're filling. And then also you understand dynamics. You understand that silences in the song can be just as powerful as noise in the song. Absolutely. The lyrics are all saying something. I mean, this one, the idea of sort of comparing yourself to others' wins and others' losses and, being isolated, but also trying to plug into other people and, defining your own reality in a way, all the way down to Eyes of Empathy, right? Where you're going and interviewing murderers and writing songs from the perspective of a victim. I mean, you guys clearly are not throwing things out there. But when I'm, as a singer, the first thing that I'm listening for is lyrics, vocals. That's the thing that's going to bring me in. And Melissa, obviously, you bring so much to the band. I mean, you are the band, you and William, obviously, fundamentally, but like you bring so much to the band in the sense that you've got that clean front. And then everything that William is doing behind you with the down tuning and how dirty it gets and the growling and everything else, you can float up there on the top. And I think that that's something that gives you and your sound a different spin. But I'm curious, being a female front person, I know there's a lot baked into that, right? There are a lot of perceptions, assumptions, expectations. I think a lot of people will, if you're attractive, they'll assume that that's why you're fronting the band, but you can't actually sing. If you can sing, they might figure you don't look so great, and so, they're hiding you in the corner like poor Ann Wilson, and just sort of like in the shadows or whatever.
Problem for sure for females. Okay.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that, about what it is like and what it has been like over the evolution of SEPSISS. Because again, you guys are over a decade in, 13 years. I imagine where you started, it sounds like, first of all, with confidence, is not where you are now. Although even just sitting here with you, and I've noticed this watching, YouTube and all the other stuff, is that there's stage Melissa, there's Immaculate Connection Melissa, there's Art Melissa.
She got your number. Yo, she figured you out.
There's there's probably totally off camera Melissa. They're very different. And one of the things I've noticed, and William, this is not a slight to you at all, but I've noticed that of the two of you, you seem to do considerably less talking than William does. And I'm wondering how much of it is, do you just marshal all that badassery and you save it for the stage? How different from what you do when you're performing is from who you are? Like that I thought was interesting.
Different characters, like you mentioned, like if I'm on stream, I might be all bubbly and excited and everything's happening, all hype trains and stuff like that. Everything's just happening. There are things popping up.
Is it a gear though?
It's kind of like a game.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. You play it like a game in a way, and
you're just like you're a series of little RPGs or whatever that you're doing. You're just sort of. RPGs. Okay. Because so there's Art Melissa and and you with your little Mew and whatever, and then where's the Melissa character? Who are you?
So, I guess you would say I'm more like the artist.
Yeah.
I'm the quiet little girl there that's just painting away.
That's definitely her.
By speaking with people. Like I said, I like to get to know people on like a personal level.
Last year at Swarmy Fest, it was some of our fans are really close to us every day,
Yeah.
And one of them had come up to me and said, "Hey, Will, is Melissa okay? I said,
people think this,
and I say, yeah. I said, yeah. Why?
She's always like that. Yeah, yeah.
She's in a great mood. And Melissa's always in a great mood. She's
people
definitely
expect me to be more like the stream character.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. And I had to explain to them. I said, well, no, before she sings, especially if we're doing like back-to-back shows or something like that, like she's got to preserve her voice a couple hours, right? So we don't want to be yelling over the venue,
so
screaming at each other backstage.
So she'll kind of be, she'll kind of be, and it's not good to whisper if you're a singer either.
No, you just have to vocal rest. Yeah,
right. So she'll be doing her rest, or it won't be quite the hype train Twitch. We just got a subscriber, Melissa. That's what I meant about people will see 20 seconds of me saying something angry about the music industry. The same way that they'll see you excited about Halo, and they'll be like,
we're not thoughtful as a society. We don't take the time to actually appreciate or even acknowledge nuance or dimension or facets of people. We want to just cut and print, soundbite, quickly define someone because it's easier to categorize people. We start doing that when we're kids. You categorize things by colors, by shapes, by numbers, by letters. And, we do it with people now. It's like, okay, he's a dick. She's a like a diva there or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's, but if you actually, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was watching. Because again, part of the reason I do this show the way I do it is, look, it would be a fuck ton less work for me to just basically ask you questions I could find from reading your EPK, right? But who the fuck wants to, what's the point of that? Like, I need to know what makes the band tick. I need to listen to the music. I need to pay attention to the process.
No one ever does that.
No.
But yeah,
no one ever does it. No, I was gonna say
because nobody cares, right? Nobody cares, and because it's easier to just be like, okay, well, SEPSISS, they're popular, and so there's going to be envy and jealousy associated with that. Whatever, they're candid about their ambition. Yeah, there's always going to be whatever.
Looking to get something bad for you to say. I don't have nothing bad to say.
But you're not just like anyone is. You're not just one thing, right? And so for me, if I looked at your promo photos and I decided who you were based on that.
Yes.
And then I turn on your YouTube and I hear the New Hampshire accent and I hear all the joking and the laughing and that you guys clearly, all really enjoy each other. You like spending time together. You guys have a good time. But when it's time to be on, you're on, and that doesn't mean that you're always on. And it doesn't mean that you're being fake when you're on. It doesn't mean you're being fake when you're not on. But
that's kind of the reason for showing all that is that it's not like I'm building a fucking case. It really comes down to have by repurposing the content in a way where people can observe it and say, this is a real band. This is an authentic
and your people.
They're flawed. Right. We are and our music reflects that. Yeah. We don't copy and paste chorus pieces. We're flawed. We don't have a lot of computers.
And even with that, just there's lyrically,
some ugly notes in there. You know what I mean?
But even lyrically, one of the things that I found compelling about your music is that a lot of songs will basically be just jacking off until you get to the chorus, and the whole song is about the chorus, right? It's just your sort of verses are killing time until you get to the chorus.
That. Yeah,
and for you guys, what I've noticed is that I'm not going to say it's all chorus because instrumentally, obviously, it's not. But there's content.
You're sneaky.
Me?
Oh yeah, you're sneaky.
How am I sneaky?
Oh yeah, you got a good because you got a good ear. Go ahead, no, say what you was gonna say.
Like, what did I say? No, but again, and I mean, look, I'm not here kissing your ass. I talk to the indie bands that I talk to same way. I have the same appreciation, but for me, the thing that's interesting in the music is you can bullshit as a person. Not you, but one can bullshit as a person. Sure. One can have an image, one can whatever, but your music, if it's not corporatized and if it's not anesthetized where it's just designed to be consumable and done, will tell people who you are. because you could come out with all the balls and the bravado and the whistles and the wolf tails and whatever, and you could get up there flinging your hair around or whatever. And if you open your mouth and the lyrics are shit, the music's shit, they have nothing to say, eventually anybody who's not a star fucker is done with you. They are, right? And so, again, for 13 years,
I love that.
You guys have been building on a fan base that is very protective of you, and very invested in you and feel like they know you. And I think, you know, there are musicians that can treat their fan base as, you know, from on high. You know, I'm up here, you're down there, we're speaking to you. And then there are the musicians who understand that without the fans, they don't exist. Right.
Hey, listen, there's great risk in that. There's a ton of risk in that. And you know, we've taken a beating for it.
In which being more engaged with your fans, you mean?
We have, and you know what, and you know, rebuilding lineups and rebuilding friendships and relationships along the way, even with the fans. You know, every time we do that, we kind of pretend, or we go into it. There's one episode in Road to the Swarm where I kind of confess and I kind of open up to everybody and explain that in the beginning, rebuilding the lineup, you know, we promised each other we were going to be thin-lipped. And
I remember that.
Militant, and we were going to.
You weren't going to engage your feelings.
I'm not going to love anybody anymore. I'm going to fucking.
That didn't go too well.
It didn't. As soon as I tried to do that, I started to become a person again.
Yeah,
because the band is a family.
And I realized, I realized this does not, and this is true for every single person that's contributed here. Most people that have contributed here at one time or another, they were fucking great.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't have been in the band in the first place if they weren't, right? So
yeah, you bet. No, you bet. And you know, Robert is on drums right now. Robert is a very good example of somebody who's been in past versions of Sepsis.
Right.
And now in a modern version of Sepsis. We should have dragged him up here for this. Because this would have been.
Bring them all. Get hot sauce. Get Zach. Bring them all. Bring them all.
I'm telling you.
No, but that I think is, you know, you two are a constant, right? And so there are going to be people in and out of your orbit. That's, I mean, even if nothing were wrong, life can intrude, right? People can have kids, they can get divorced, they can move, they can have a job where they all of a sudden can't leave for a tour.
You know what? And when people break up, I think people tend to go, he did it, or he did it, or she did it. But here's
they want a villain
about me. Yeah, for sure. Every single person that's either came here, contributed, been hired, been fired, quit, walked away, I've had something to do with every single one of them.
Well, you even say if there needs to be a fall guy, it'll be me.
It's me. I'm the guy. No, I've either. So if there was a dispute, I was involved.
Right.
If there was love, I was involved.
Right.
And so,
but that's family. That's what families do. Families fight.
One person. There's got to be one person out of the entire group that walks away and says, you know what? I'm responsible for all of it.
Right. Well, and there are pluses and minuses to that too, because you know, as the engine, you know, everybody depends on you, but then if you fail, you fuck the whole thing up, right?
Yes, so if there's not an interview, there are hundreds, if not 1,000 interviews of the greatest members of this band recently, the most recent interviews you can find to the deepest interview, where they'll tell you that. To tell you, you know, I joined because of William, and William trained me and taught me how to do this shit. That's not bad news.
No, no. And I mean, look, it's the reality of things. But I mean, and I did want to get back to you, Melissa, because we got a couple words out of you, and then you went back into art mode. But so being a front person as you are, and sort of answering the first part of the question, where I'm assuming that the different Melissas that we see sprinkled across your social media are all aspects of you. I don't get the sense that you're putting any of them on, but is the stage Melissa, how hard is it for you to go from who you are off stage to who you are on stage? Because it's
crazy because it's like a complete flip.
Big, you know, and you have so much you have so much confidence on stage. You do. I mean, you're up there, you're out there, you're owning it, and you know, you're just, you have to. You couldn't do SEPSISS and sing your songs. You couldn't cheat that, right? So I know that's in you.
Yep.
But it's so not in you when you're not on stage. And I find that dichotomy fascinating.
So true though.
Nah, seriously. She's right though.
I don't know. I put it on, man. Like when I first joined the band 13 years ago, I was so scared because I had never been on stage before SEPSISS, not once in my life, not for like a little show as a kid or anything at school. Nothing.
Never, ever anything.
Never. Never been on stage until SEPSISS. So he finds out day of during our first show. I was like, hey, I've never been on stage before.
Wow.
And he just comes to me like super shocked, like, you've never been on stage?
I mean, usually people just will accidentally walk on a stage at some point trying to find the bathroom.
I think she said something like, I've never been on stage before. And I think I said, okay, yeah.
I think he didn't process it
I didn't believe you.
Right.
So I reminded him day of, and then we get on stage and I just completely hang onto that mic stand, just like for dear life.
And we recorded it.
I sang my heart out. We have a recording.
Yeah, true to SEPSISS tradition, we recorded it.
I was going to say, of course you recorded it. It's SEPSISS.
I think we were going to make an NFT out of it.
I didn't move.
Oh, okay.
I didn't move, and I sang very poorly. But
so you were nervous.
I got through it. I was very nervous, very much. But now
there's hundreds of people there too.
It took me time to
nobody would book us anywhere. We had to buy the bar, and we
did.
We sold it out, and then we were robbed. The door person took all of our money.
The name of that show was Halloween Holocaust. It was on Halloween, and there was like a blizzard.
We had no staffers. We didn't think anybody was going to show up.
We had to push all the gear through the snow.
I hired all ex-convicts, gang members.
Just to get everything loaded in.
Together.
Night.
Okay, but I'm going to take a guess, Melissa, and I may be talking out of my ass. Okay. I'm going to guess that maybe as either a kid or a teenager, you didn't get a whole lot of sunshine, confidence building stuff, because I get the sense that you are introverted. Artists usually are, and I'm not saying like, oh, your parents didn't love you or that, but I'm getting the sense that you were kind of either underappreciated or invisible in some ways, and maybe got comfortable with that. And then when you get on stage, it's a big fuck you to everybody that couldn't see you as you.
Kid,
I'm taking a guess. I might be totally wrong.
Small amount of friends. I had like my little circle. But you're right. I was very much introverted because all I did was like stay in my room and play on the computer, which is why I'm so good with computers.
Little nerd. That's right. Love little nerds. Big fan of little nerds.
Games, jarring.
I was going to say, you still do all of this.
And I do all of that now, yes, but I am extroverted in the fact that I can get up on stage and sing and connect with people and just like, and when I'm there at the show too, it's not like I just like hide.
No, you're great. No, that's true.
So you stay in stage mode when you're performing, even after you get off stage. When you're with so the fans kind of make you, I guess, comfortable enough to keep that connection. Okay.
When I am on stage, I share this energy with them.
Yeah.
The band too.
And I look people in the eye and everything, like I'm looking at everybody.
Yeah, she's swinging at motherfuckers.
Absolutely. So like we share that connection. It's great.
Good job with that.
But that's interesting to me too, because it might seem more intense to be in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people, and connecting and performing, but you're still at a distance, right?
I find it harder to sing in front of small groups.
Absolutely. 1,000. It's more intimate, not just in the sense of how small it is, but just I have
no problem with crowds.
Right. So
at all of any level, like there could be as many people. I don't care if it's an arena.
It's like a bigger, bigger stages are kind of like, because when you're in stage volume too, it's like quiet up there. Sometimes it's like slow motion a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like you're kind of like in a little bit of a bubble.
Up there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, so what's some of the shit that you've gotten as being a front woman? Because I mean, the other thing that I wanted to get into, and I can relate to this because my husband and I started our band.
Let me say it, because I was going to say the pics.
The pics?
In the messenger.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Pics.
Yes, the beef pics and yes,
of all shapes and sizes.
That's the hard. I'm telling you, here's my solution to that for you, Melissa. Tweet them out.
Oh
yes, I'm stealing that.
Just tweet them out. Just be like, hey, this is Bob.
Jeff. Yeah. Shout out
this is Bob.
Jeff.
This is Bob's dick, and I had to see it, so now so do you. Get your your magnifying glass, whatever. Yeah, just tweet them back out. But
the band page, and we're all in it.
The problem is we have staff members and everybody's involved.
Right. It's not just going to Melissa, guys. Okay, right. You're probably showing William your dick, just so you know.
Sometimes I don't think they care.
No, look, it just the little guy needs attention. He needs attention.
I'll warn them, and I'll say, "Hey, you do know."
It's like they just see my face on the profile pic, and they're like, "Here you go."
She needs to see my meat. She has to. It would make her day. But that leads me to another question too. Is that as I was starting to say, you know, my husband and I started our band, and being
I never did any push.
All right, I'll start sending you forest pictures of just, you know, like the Yosemite or whatever. But like, but okay. So being in a band that is couple fronted, we've dealt with a lot of people coming in thinking it's going to be a John and Yoko thing, or we're going to power play, or we're going to whatever. Right. So I'm curious because you guys have a couple of things that I think work for you, but in perception of others could potentially work against you, right? You are multi-genre, you are very accessible to the fans. You know, you have all these Asian, you know, Cuban, like, you know, rock metal influences. You've got all this stuff going on, right? And then you have a female front, which some people really don't like, you know, unless they're just, you know, horny and they want to use that to get off or whatever. And then you're a couple on top of it, right? So there's a lot packed into that because, you know, William, I get the sense, and I think you've even said this, that you are going to prioritize Melissa in the band because not only is she, you know, a big part of the talent in the band, but she's also the person that you love. And then you also have this element of, okay, and then there's a woman out front, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with powerful women. So how much of the personal, the professional, are you guys the same with each other? You know, when you're in band mode, is it the relationship kind of goes on pause a little bit, but it's always background? Are you guys the same way when you're on and off stage? How does all that
really include our relationship when it comes to business and music? We keep everything separate.
Smart.
And often people get that confused a lot because they'll be like, oh, they must not like each other. It's like so not the case. It's not
no. You have to do it that way. You have to.
We are the coldest couple on planet Earth.
We didn't even announce that we were together until last year.
And so there's a reason behind that too, because we realized earlier let's really back it up.
Yeah.
So when we first founded the band, it's not like we went on a date.
Right.
We didn't have any, I had a girlfriend. She had somebody or something,
Right. You were otherwise engaged.
We also weren't in a place at life where we would have had that type of productive, healthy relationship. We weren't really socially accustomed to each other like that.
Okay.
I had my growing pains. She had hers. We weren't on that path. That frequency,
right? Not the right time.
Wasn't possible.
Not in alignment. Yeah, I got you.
At all. Just, you know what I mean? Not in English or by definition. So, and because we were good partnership because we shared the same goals. That we've had longevity because we've shared the same goals. If us as individuals from the beginning, be it personal, productive, we've shared the same goals.
Yeah.
Us being together as a couple is also a product of sharing the same goals.
Right.
So
right. Yeah,
so it's to be understood. we've been best friends for 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend till, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So for about half the time, she had her own life doing her own, we were just friends and, running a company together and kind of investigating and seeing what that was about. And, kind of figuring out what we wanted to be when we grew up. And when we're so business orientated that when there was a talk about us being more than friends, we almost said it at the same time that we just wanted to keep our business private to ourselves. We're really actually private. We put ourselves out there and it looks like that, but we're actually really private people in terms of what we actually are doing when the cameras are off. You have to have some life off camera. You have to have something that's just for the two of you. That when the cameras are on, there's a certain amount of pre-production that goes into that.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Before you see the me and Melissa kissing picture, there's a certain amount of pre-production that goes into. We are entertainers. We are aware of the frequency of the content that we're putting out.
Nobody wants to see like the picture, So yeah.
You know what I mean? So we did know that someday that may be something that we made as available knowledge, but not for exploitation, but to develop a better understanding of what motivates us and a better understanding of where we're going with the art, literally, because we've become kind of more of a duet in terms of our presentations on stage. What Melissa has hired me to do and wants me to do sonically and vocally, the way we've kind of manufactured the music together, she's wanted me to play a much more vocal responsibility, backing her up on vocals and stuff. That's why we have another guitar player, to make sure that I'm a strong vocalist for live performances.
Yeah, because
which is very important.
Which is important.
With what you do on guitar on the albums, it would be nearly impossible to get all of that where you need it to be.
Admittingly, for sure. Humbly, admittingly. We don't. So, but to be clear, we talked, last year, and we go, it become more of a conversation in comments and in blogs, and we didn't want comments and blogs to be what of how people
found out. That's your thing. You own everything. You wanted to be the ones to put it out there. Yeah.
She hired me to play the position that I play in the band. That doesn't have anything to do with what happens when the cameras go off.
Right.
So the young woman that hired me 13 years ago is the same person that hires me to help administrate and write for the band now. And that's what's been successful for us. And of course, our producer, Glenn. That's how we create. So in terms of us discussing or allowing people to know that we were together, there's a romantic part and there's a reality part. To that.
Okay.
So we knew that there was going to be a great risk. We knew that we were actually going to lose some fans. We knew but in terms of that, we also knew that people who had a hard time accepting our roles and people who had a hard time, being able to manage how we feel about each other probably really aren't going to be here for the long haul.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, I've always taken the position in life in general, whatever it is, music or anything else, that if you are yourself and you lose people, those were not your people, right? So
that's what I mean. If we're not really like hold hands type of people. We don't do a lot of kissing and cuddling in public. It's not and some people might be misunderstood about that. I mean, there were people, friends of mine, that are close and was like, oh my God, Will, I never knew that you guys were dating. And I said, that's
nicely
done. That's not a trick that we played on y'all.
No, it's just
because we were so serious about developing the product and developing our friendship and developing the business. We took it so seriously that we didn't want to jeopardize with theater. We didn't want to jeopardize the project with theater and drama and personalities and behaviors.
And when you're becoming a couple, you also don't know at the beginning how it's going to go, right?
You have no clue.
So I mean, the relationship, it sounds like you two were most focused on for the first couple years was the band. Like the band being a relationship, you two in it, your relationship to everybody else who was in it, the staff that you were going to have, the relationship with the band of the industry, the band of the fans. That's enough polygamy for one couple, and so I get that. No, but I do think, I mean, so you guys seem like you have managed to find a way to have a professional relationship apart from your personal one. A professional relationship informed by your personal one, and then a personal relationship that is just for the two of you.
Right. And it might sound silly, but it's really organized. Like, I
believe it. I think everything you do is pretty organized.
It really is. If anything,
I don't think that's an accident.
In common, but that. If anything else, she's maybe a left side.
I'm a hell of an organizer,
right?
Actually.
You know what I mean? We really do. We have the tools. We use technology. We have an assistant, people that work with us and help us out. So I mean, we really have those things to help us kind of organize and manage all of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Again, but that's, I mean, again, you make no bones about the fact that SEPSISS is a business, right? It's also a band. And so there's business William and business Melissa, and then there's band William and band Melissa. And obviously the Venn diagram there is pretty big, but like, I know what you mean. And I think that I appreciated that, some people might take it as arrogance. I didn't, that you're like, look, we know what we have. We know what we can do. We know what we want. We're going to go for it. And, we think of ourselves as different from a lot of other bands. The criteria are different. The expectations are different. The requirements are different, whatever, and I'm sure there are people who are going to hear that and be like, dick, but that's not, you're not saying it to me in a way that makes it seem like you think that you're better than anyone else. You're just doing what you want to do.
If we would have rushed out, and made an announcement, William is her boyfriend 7 years ago, people would say, well, he's beating her into singing. He's threatening her. He must be
Jesus. Is that really what they would have said?
No,
but you're saying they would have invented a story for you. Is that
I know I'm being dramatic, but from mild to wild. What I'm saying is they would not have given Melissa the credit for the success that she has. They would have said she's only up there because that's his girlfriend.
He's a Svengali
for her because every fight that we've ever had in with every cast member is because I'm her boyfriend. It's what I'm saying. So
it's like a bad Insta filter over everything that happens. Yeah.
Anybody that deals with us
would have been pinned on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I got you.
If she wins an award, it's because I forced her to do it. If she does a dance, it's because I taught her to do it. It could
never be me.
Right. It couldn't. They'll never give. Like, if her and Lexi do something great,
I see.
They can never. These girls are too stupid to do it on their own.
I see what you're saying.
Right. Somebody must be. They must be on drugs. They must have joined a gang.
So Melissa had to have the time, apart from her personal connection to you, to show everybody who she was on her own and what she was doing. Am I understanding that right?
That's why I said it wasn't a trick that we played on y'all. Right. It was because we were more responsible.
No, you were protecting each other. Yeah.
Yes, we predicted that people would misunderstand us. If I'd have been like, everybody, please accept us. Don't judge us. We're trying to create the band and we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Everything that she does, good or bad, after that is going to be something.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Because I mean, even in iterations of bands that Greg and I have been in together, we tend to think alike. And so because we have the same vision, we have the same plan in a similar way that you do, people will go, oh, they're just agreeing with each other because they're together.
Every time that we agree with each other in the staff, we're a fucking cult.
Right. I hear you. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a lot of different things to manage. And I think that, for me, there's, you guys are a band where I think the process of being a band, the experience of being a band is as much a part of your brand and your
Christina,
public persona as being musicians. Yeah, of course you can.
I just want to say, because I don't think people ever think about this. And here's the other thing that people don't like to hear.
Okay.
Not only are we boyfriend and girlfriend, we're really fucking happy. We never argue. We love the band. I think people also expect us to be miserable and to be going through. We never go through it. We love the band. There's a reason why we do this year after year after year.
Right.
We fucking love this shit.
Yeah.
We're never broke. We always pay the rent. We work really hard.
Yeah.
We don't make a lot of money.
Right.
We do it because we love it.
Right.
We mind our fucking business when the camera goes off. Right. And we're never unhappy.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, you're fulfilled. Right. I mean, you're fulfilled professionally.
I think people are upset.
Personally,
people are disappointed sometimes when they go,
"Oh, that there's no drama,"
together, or they find out that there aren't some of the members aren't the same. But the thing is even if that is the case, there's a reason why we wake up every morning and do this.
Yeah,
and that's because we're really happy doing it. We have fun doing this. We wouldn't do
too much work otherwise.
We would never do so. We wouldn't get all the dick pics and all the hate mail and everything else. Think of how fun it has to be.
Yeah, I know. To make all of that worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I hear you.
Look at all the videos. Go look at all the members and all the staff and all the lives. We've got over 4 million views of people that are in our family that had a blast contributing to the project. So it's like, in terms of that, I know that there's a lot of folks out there that go, they must, that Melissa, she must be cracking down on people at the music video shoot. It never happens. I yell a lot, but that's because I yell anyway.
Right.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
Italian. I understand that. You talk and it sounds like you're yelling. Yeah.
Yeah, but but Melissa's right. I think people sometimes want us to be disappointed with that. But just for people to know, we're actually very normal. We're very happy. Right. And it's hard to be in something this long if it wasn't fun or didn't make us happy.
Right. Whether it's the relationship or the band or both.
Yeah, the whole thing. The whole thing. It's been a blast for us. We love making music. We love being together. We love our friends and family. Even the old band members, they live above me. I see them in the parking lot. We wave. Yeah. Everyone's friendly. They live in town. Yeah. We have 30 members of the band. So, it's always love, and everybody here is extremely happy. Regarding the way that it turned out. Letting people know. I think there was a few people that might have been upset that me and you were boyfriend and girlfriend, and truly,
I think they left.
No women or anything. I don't get
all the guys in your DMs, Melissa.
I was gonna say the guys, maybe. I think some of the guys were upset, but I was gonna say the girls cheer me on with it.
Yeah, hey, good job. No, I mean, look, it's and I think you guys are. I'm glad that you're happy, first of all, but I think that's people tend to look at people who are generally satisfied, and that can be uncomfortable because it's kind of a mirror back, if they're not satisfied with something. It's sort of, okay, well, and again, I mean, I'm glad that you guys are protective of the relationship that you have that's just the two of you, that's separate from Sepsis, if there is such a thing, because being 24/7 in the band together, working together, making music together, sleeping together at night, it's
the most we've ever talked about it ever on the internet is during this conversation. We've never ever and not
well, good. You're actually in control of the narrative. So good. I like that.
And not for no good or bad reason. I'm happy to let people know, but with letting people know, I gotta also let them know that we're really happy.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also,
that way nobody Rorschachs their ideas of the relationship.
Right. Yeah. It'll drive people crazy. We never fucking argue ever. We don't argue about guitar. We don't argue about guitar riffs. We don't argue.
No, I believe it. I believe it. Greg and I are the same way. It's when you're matched well and you both do the work. Then it's a lot easier.
I respect her. I respect her space. I respect her voice, her beauty, and everything that she's offered to me in my life. Melissa saved my life. She's my best friend.
Aw, look at you two. She's over there. Hi. Hi, I'm Melissa. Okay, so listen. So I want to make sure that we also get back to the music a little bit more because bleed lines. Last year you had Yesterday Isn't Me. The year before that you had You Already Know. You've got all of this stuff that is. I mean, I love the fact that you have a sound, but your music isn't static in a way where every song is the same, basically different version of the same song on the album. Every single that you release doesn't sound like everything else.
That's popular now more than ever.
It is, and I mean, one of the things I'm going to put that down to, Almost 11 came out 3 years ago now, and that was that the first album that Glenn Robinson did for you guys?
That was our first full length.
Yeah,
because there was Bad Blood, right? The EP.
There was an EP before that where us and Glenn were kind of like
figuring it out.
Wanted to, there was some rougher.
We were making the sound.
It was all right, but it was some rougher stuff out a little bit before then.
Yeah. Okay. But all right. So, but that was really the debut of the sound with him, right? So, I mean, for those who don't know, and I think most people probably would, but I mean, Glenn Robinson has worked with fucking everybody, right? Like everybody, George Martin and Keith Richards and AC/DC and Foo Fighters, and like he's worked with everybody, right? So, I mean, what I think could be very easy to have happen with the sound that SEPSISS has, because it's full, it's rich, right? And because you do downtune, right? So you have all that, you've gotten that depth with it, but it's very easy for that to get sloppy or muddy or otherwise kind of just muck up the space, right? So to have somebody who's at the board going, okay, here's where we're going to put everything in its place, we're going to balance everything the way that we need to, it makes everything pop. And I mean, I'm hearing stuff way faded back in the background, little synth bits, little, just little backing vocals and it all registers and it all resonates because it's balanced really well. And it's so hard to do.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I have absolutely nothing to do with none of that.
I didn't.
Thank you, Glenn Robinson.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, that's why I'm giving props to Glenn because
he's truly
phenomenal. Crashing into this thing, we were like kids, and he's just like, he sent me a message, and he was like, "I really like the band, but I'm not fucking with you. You need to change this.
Okay."
This, and I was like, who is this guy talking to me like this?
At first, we didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it. He goes, I'm Glenn Robinson, and here's my resume.
Like, sure you are, yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I think I said something rude to him, and he sent me his press kit.
Okay.
And Melissa goes, that's real. And I said, no,
you're like, that was my twin brother that said that, whatever.
Right, I said, no,
that was Billiam. Billiam has Tourette's and we don't, so that wasn't us. Yeah.
I said, I'm not going to say nothing. She goes, no, you need to. I said, I'm not going to. She goes, you need to. I said, okay, I'm going to say something. So then I get back on it and he goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, to prove to you I'm serious, send me the fucking stems.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, man, this guy's playing with me.
Okay.
I said, this is never going to work out. I said, I hate this. Is a terrible idea. I lost a whole bunch of sleep. Days went by, and I said, oh man, this ain't gonna amount to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we wound up getting the email, and he said, check your inbox. And we sat down in front of the monitors, and it was me and Melissa. I said, I wouldn't get your hopes up for this.
Yeah.
I said, let's give it a shot. And because we were working, we would gone to studios and we look at all types. At the time, our manager was Paul Crosby from Saliva and Derek Pinchin from 434. And they had a bunch of big bands. We were working with them, doing a whole bunch of stuff, opening up for all kinds of people that year. So like we were shopping for like the coolest engineers, and no one could tame us. Like nobody could, because some of our stuff, especially the early stuff, it was really busy and we had a lot of thoughts and we like
clunky,
and I was like,
you weren't the same way that you do now. Yeah.
Now our sound has been, as you can tell, it's been a little bit more refined as we go. but it was with Glenn's help. I really can't take a lot of credit for it, but without hearing it like that, if I'd have never heard that mix, so Glenn sent me back this kind of like robust, dusty banger of Fair to Say. And our mouths just dropped.
It just boom.
I said, what the hell? I said, oh my God.
Nobody had ever mixed it like that.
I said, oh my God. And and we were from the class of just like getting torn up in the comments and getting torn up in Facebook, torn up on Twitter of like just our shitty mixes. I mean, we didn't care. We didn't care.
We were just happy to have music.
We're just happy to play
music out, right? Yeah.
It didn't matter, So plus, our thing was like rocking shows and having parties and just like
We weren't as competitive.
We weren't trying to. We didn't know if we wanted to try to do anything. But after we heard that mix, that shit changed again. And Glenn goes,
well, that's because you know what it can sound like then.
I said, oh my God. And we stopped right then and there. And that is the day we started auditioning for, professional or in the pursuit of training people to professionally play. When we heard it back, I said, and we dropped the call with Glenn and we hung up and I said, you realize we have to record that entire album over
again.
What was the first song you did? It was Fair to Say, right?
It was Fair to Say. Yeah. And then we re-recorded To Write Hate, and that was it. Once we heard To Write Hate came back, I was like, oh my God. We was like, okay.
Well, but that one in particular, I could imagine why. Because, the song starts out one place, right? You've got that kind of gentle synth coming in, and it's a little bit faded back. There's the vocals are kind of distorted, and then you get like this just arena anthem guitar, the drums, and it builds in a way where if that were not balanced exactly the way that it needed to be, it would have sounded like such a train wreck. Like mess. And but that's what I mean about like, and even just with the fact that the two of you are both singing much more than I think you were, like it's that would be very easy to sound displaced, because if Melissa's, all the way up here and then William, you're all the way down here, there's a spot where those two vocals have to touch just a little bit, but not bleed into each other. And if that's not mixed right, Melissa, you could have sounded tinny. William, you could have sounded muddy. It could have just been again a mess. So like
it's like they just kiss each other.
Yeah, and
that's a great way to say it. That's exactly right.
And we struggled with this. There were so many engineers that were late night, hopped up on bags of blow, trying to get us to trying to get mix our stuff. It wouldn't let us go home. We'd be out there in Connecticut, Rhode Island, like, no, just give me another hour. I got it. Me and Melissa out of water. Guys that think you can nail the mix.
It's like a hostage situation.
and then the thing is with us too is like if you're a Patreon, you can come on and actually watch us record all this stuff. We don't record tons of layers and tons. If you listen, there's not tons of stuff.
Right.
It's just how we're playing it, and
it's more surgical than that. Like it's. I mean, I think, and I don't know how much of that is down to the two of you, because I mean, I know William, you seem to write pretty much everything, and like it's when you're constructing a song, you do have to have a sense of where everything lives, right? And so it's you don't have 15 people on stage, but you can sound like you do if it's being arranged and relationally it's done correct. It's like I always use the analogy, if you're cooking and you've got 50 million ingredients, you can kind of throw whatever the fuck you want in the pot. If you've got a dish that has 4 ingredients in it, olive oil, mozzarella cheese, whatever, like a basil, it better be the best quality ingredients, because otherwise nobody's going to want to eat it, right? So
I love that.
But so, and again, I mean, like I really, and I want to be very clear, right? Because you guys are, a popular band, whatever. I'm not interested in blowing smoke up anybody's ass. I don't care. I really don't. I was fully prepared to be like, okay, so they've got the image, they've got all the, the followers, they've got like, tons of views on this, that, whatever. Like, but what does the music sound like? Right. That's really what I care about. Because the rest of the stuff at the end of the day, I'm not hanging out with you in my living room or my car. I'm listening to your music. Right. So you could be lovely people, but if your music sucked, it's not going to do me any good as a listener. But I really was so pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I mean, you have there, first of all, the dynamics, which I think a lot of music it's produced to within an inch of its life, and there are just zero dynamics to it. And if you don't have dynamics, you don't have emotion in music, right? Mm-hmm. But then, I mean, like, Melissa, you will take a song like, I don't know, like The Sky Is Falling, right? And the guitars are just fucking shredding, right? It's just, it's all over but your vocals are very emotional to me in that song. And it balances the piece for me, because I could go in and listen, and you do have songs like that where you're just, your vocals are out there. They're strong, they're intense, or, you're kind of biting a little bit. And not really, like Sweet Nothings, which is like not the kindest set of lyrics, right? Like you have humor in that, there's like a little wink in the way that you sing that. It's
wow, it's nice that she caught that though.
It is nice.
But that's what I mean. Like I'm listening for that stuff, because there's a lot of good music out there.
Right. Somebody listens to music still, Melissa.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean,
a great cooking recipe. That's kind of like, you need a recipe for your music too. Right, and one of the best things I like about SEPSISS is like all of the instrumentals and vocals have like their own parts.
Yes,
their departments. Yeah.
Well, and the fact that for me, another test is, if I took this out, would it work? If I pulled this out, how much am I, and it's cool, because everything would stand on its own. But when you've balanced it, and again, Glenn really, there's a reason I think he's worked with everybody. I'm calling him Glenn like I fucking know him, whatever. But
everybody needs to talk about it like that, though.
But it really, I mean, people, and it's what you said really rang true with me, that you don't realize a lot of stuff with music and music production and writing music and even playing music. It's like stage crew. Right. And I've said this before, where if you notice it, they're not doing their job correctly. Nobody should be aware of the people who are backstage bringing props in and out, the lighting crew, whatever. If music production, if the mixing and the mastering are not good, you're going to notice it. You're not, but you don't necessarily appreciate how important it is when it's good, because your brain is just going, oh yes, this is what it's meant to sound like. Right. So, I mean, I think you guys, having hooked up and I mean, I'm assuming being signed to Pavement, you're still good with Glenn, and he's going to keep working with you moving forward. Have you figured that out? Have you discussed that, or is that something you don't want to get into?
We don't have any relationship working with Glenn through any record labels.
It's just him and you.
Glenn's part of the SEPSISS.
Glenn just works with us.
Right, but what I'm saying is you are able to keep doing that. Like, you don't have a label telling you, no, you can't.
No.
All right, great.
Coming back.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, there's nobody that affects our like creative.
Okay, no, that's great. So, because I do think that he's become another member of the band in that way.
I feel very much the same.
The thing is like he's probably. She was talking about like departments earlier. And we can't do what Glenn does. I can't do what Melissa does. And we're not opposed to other people in the band if they ever stay in the band long enough to writing. We've been ambitious and encouraging previous band members to write. But Melissa's always wanted me to write music, and Glenn's happy with that. Mm-hmm. And Melissa's happy with that. Mm-hmm. So that probably won't change.
Well, yeah, if it ain't broke, right? Like, don't fuck with it. No, but I've heard bands.
Stay out of her way, I stay out of Melissa's way. You know what I mean? And we try to, and I stay out of Glenn's way, basically. In Glenn's,
you know your lane. You know your lane. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? I always love and respect, like Glenn's advice, because I feel like that for education and experience purposes, I kind of look up to him more as a mentor.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't have any issue ever taking his advice. So when Glenn has advice for me, by default, you know what I mean? Like a child, I'm ready to absorb that knowledge. Even if there's something that I don't understand, I'll put it in my back pocket, because I learned so much from Glenn about the music industry, how to own your music, how to protect the band, how to speak on behalf of the band, and just he's opened the door to a lot of literature and places where the average performing artist wouldn't look. And because of him, he's opened up the door for me to utilize so many industry and business and technological tools to work with the band. He's given me some light and a cutting edge. So not just producing or advice on music. Sometimes it'll be like, just owning or fiscal responsibilities or metadata or technical specs or cutting new edge technology.
You're getting granular on the
like
whole.
Glenn are plugged in with the the masters of the universe. So I never hesitate to utilize his vast experience and knowge. And
it would be ridiculous if you didn't. It really would.
Right. No, when Glenn talks, that's the time you'll probably hear William the quietest, really, is when Glenn's moving around.
Okay, next time I interview Sepsis, we're going to ask Glenn to come on.
I would never say right. Don't have me. I'll be watching your interview. We'll definitely watch. I'll watch the whole interview. I won't have nothing to say. But we do because we don't do a lot of layering like that, though. We've gotten closer to creating, for lack of a better word, a comprehensive product that is like fine-tuned to what we did on Almost 11, in the sense where it is also the most performable.
Well, that's exactly it, because the more you trick the album into existence in the studio, the more the audience on the live shows is going to go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like.
Take a girl and a guitar and play it, and people love it. Could we do a keyboard part and a voice? Could we do two voices and a couple acoustic guitars? That was important to us for every single song that we write. It's important to us. Hey, if we were on the street and somebody says, Melissa, 1, 2, 3, would it 4, still,
right.
Jump into harmony. And we wanted to create a kind of music that could do that. And we planned on having less pieces on the stage moving forward for touring purposes. We planned on downsizing gear. We've kind of like taken steps towards technology where on the RV, we're not riding around with big speakers. And so we've downsized in like taking up physical space, utilizing technology and utilizing really performable situations.
We've even downsized from 6 members to 5.
Right. Yeah. So like, now everyone's working with HeadRush amplifiers on the floor. So we're playing all the keyboard parts out now.
That's it.
We all mic stands. We're a band with no mic stands. So we can dance and move around and interact with people. We all use, we use headsets, wireless, everything's wireless. So we're seeing a lean, just primed Sepsis now. You guys are you've cut out everything that you don't need sonically, gear wise, member wise. And I think again that when you can function that way, where, as you said, if it's 2 of you or 3 of you, or even 1 of you, you could still do something that would reflect the band and that would be held to the standards that you've set for yourself. That takes me back to my 5 ingredients, right? Like, you've got every one of them is tasty on their own. You put them together and it's a hell of a lot better. But like that, I mean,
I think I'm glad to hear that Glenn is going to stay on with you, because I think he is a huge part of the sound that you have. And I would hate to see you lose that. I think there's too much intricacy to the instrumentation.
To our relief, honestly,
where you would lose it with a different producer. To
our relief, you're not kidding. To our relief, he's excited about it. Like if I hadn't heard it from him in the last 72 hours, excited about it. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like when we come, we make music for Glenn, because and Melissa makes music for me, and I make music for her. You know what I mean? And we're all trying to impress each other, and we're all kind of thrive. I'm trying to write a riff and have it hit Melissa in a way where she's completely falls in love with rock and roll all over again. You know what I mean? I know Glenn's pushing out a mix. We're terrified when we think we might get a mix. It's terrifying. Everybody sits around the house. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's so powerful.
What's it gonna sound like?
We're not a 200 song catalog type band. We have a lifetime. We're not a 15 album band. We have a course meal that we've set. We have goals and ideas, but we're not a forever band. We believe all good games and novels and movies do have an ending, you know, and that doesn't mean that's anytime soon, but
no, but you don't want to be season 58 of The Simpsons either.
Not really. Yeah. We don't really have the ambition for that. We want to write meaningful. We want to keep the flaws. We want to write music. A lot of bands, have a ton of technology on stage. So we want to try to keep the computers and try to keep
it's definitely quality over quantity for us.
Right. We're not trying to go out for 2 months at a time. We're probably going to go out, a couple weeks at a time versus going out for long tours. We're going to play quality shows and pack the room versus playing the bar every Friday.
Gotcha. Well, so, I mean, but the theme I'm hearing with everything is strategy. You know, you have a strategy, you have a plan. And again, I think that can seem unlikable to people, but generally it's to people who don't have a strategy or a plan, which is fine. You know, not everybody has to do that. But I think that you guys are honest about the fact that you know that you make good music. You know that you know what you want. You have the drive. And to my mind, look, if you can walk the walk, fuck it. Why not? Right? Like, just do what you want to do. Make the band be what you want it to be. And I mean, you would not have the fan base. Yeah, okay, there may be fans that are in it for the wrong reason. They just want to see Melissa in something tight or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, fine, they're not wrong. But but I mean,
they're not wrong.
They're not wrong. But, we support you guys. Just keep your fucking pictures to yourself. But I mean, I think that everything that you're doing is mindful, and I don't think it's really possible to succeed in this industry if you're not all of those things, if you're not ambitious, if you're not mindful, if you're not willing to be not ruthless, but to make business decisions that serve the band, because ultimately anybody that's supposed to be in the band will want to do the same thing anyway, even if it means they're not in it anymore. I mean, I've been in bands like that where I'm like, you know what? You guys are moving in a direction where I'm not going to be the best person for that. And so I think you should find somebody else. And it's no hard feelings. It's no whatever. It's just, I know myself. True. I know my capabilities, my limitations, and I'm not going to have an ego about it. Right. But I mean, so I think, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you guys are upfront about it. And you mentioned, William, a little bit about it. And I really want to ask you this question because I'm very interested to hear the answer. What is the songwriting process for Sepsis? Does it start with a riff on guitar? Do you get lyrics in your head? Do you guys, what is it? I'm assuming from song to song, it would be different, man. But
it's really tough for me because Melissa has given me this prestigious pedestal of writing Sepsis music. This shit is not easy to write. So it'd be easy for me to write for some other band, but it's hard for me to write for Melissa because I know how much she fucking cares about it.
Yeah, well, there's more at stake.
And
there's
I have all these little check boxes. So like with regular heavy metal bands, this is like, okay, fucking big breakdown, say fuck somebody's mom, kick somebody's ass. With us, we don't do like a lot of violence. We know there's no devils. There's no revolutions. There's no race wars. There's no fucking demons.
So rather than talking about what it's not, talk to me. What's your checklist? Like, give me an example. Even pick a song and be like, what are SEPSISS's check boxes?
Well, it's got to be melodically driven because Melissa spends a lot of time on stage and she's the focal point of the visual experience of our music videos and downstage. So we just noticed, I guess it's hard not to talk about what it's not, but we noticed a lot of bands had a lot of space in their music. A lot of metal had a lot of these, because we love metal, but we always listen to metal. And while building SEPSISS, we were like, in metal, in modern metal, there are all these parts to like the what the fuck and why'd you do that part? Okay. So there are elements that you want to make sure everything that you have in your music makes sense to you. Right. So in terms of genres and looking at it as a spectrum, not looking at the 8 classical colors of metal, but looking at it an entire spectrum of what's possible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We said, man, people are always limited in either moods or timelines. Okay. And so to make a SEPSISS song, it can't fit a timeline. It can't really be like old school Dio. It can't be gent, and it can't be like the digital era. It can't be death metal. It can't be thrash metal. It can't be. So you didn't want to just be one thing or be something anybody else was being. Oh man, we're in trouble. Right. We're automatically in trouble. Because that's all very subjective, right? I mean, like you guys might listen to something and go, "Why the hell did they do that?" And then their fans might go, "I know exactly why the hell they did that," but it wasn't what you wanted to make. Right. To develop an inside group is to develop an outside group. Yeah, absolutely. So we go to metal shows and we'd see the part where everybody's doing it in the crowd, everyone's together, and then there'd be what the fuck? Why'd you do that moment with the band where the entire audience goes, let's beat each other up. Okay, so you felt like it took it out of the... Okay. Where the music doesn't make any sense, let's kick the shit out of each other. Well, we kept noticing that when metalheads listen to music, that either there were these times where the people understood the music and it was comprehensive, or it was so intelligent and mathematical and fucking scary and gangster that people couldn't enjoy the music anymore. So you wanted, I'm trying to create the check boxes out of way. So you wanted something that kept the audience, that didn't confuse the audience and kept them, focused on so melodic, focused on the vocals and the singer. Yes, because we write lyrics. Right. Okay. We don't write lyrics like drop it low, drop it low, drop it low. You wanted something that said something. Right. So in order to get people to pay attention to somebody that's saying something, we had to get them to watch for more than 6 seconds or so. Gotcha. So, so the music can't be boring. So the attention span of people, we're an internet band, and we noticed through the scroll that people couldn't pay attention. So if you notice, our music kind of goes beep boop beep boop. There's another trick. Boom boom boom. There's a trick there. Boom boom. Here comes a big note. It's like keeping a baby interested. Yes. Yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, you do. You have to keep because we are a TikTok generation, as I keep saying, and people have no attention span. You got the lullaby part and the cheer part, and the rappy part, and the bang part, and the romantic part, and the boy and the girl part, and the solo part, and so what's hard is to make all those things work together. So melodic, focus on Melissa and the vocals, attention paid that will allow people to hear and understand the lyrics. Every part you can dance to. And then keeping the audience engaged. Yep, every part has to be danceable though. Right, and it gets you up and it makes you move. A lot of metal music. And a lot of metal music, they take out the dance parts or whatever they do. And that's when people elbow each other or whatever they do. And that's fine. There's a ton of bands that already do that. So with us, we always look downstage at people at shows and go, look, they're not doing anything. No one's doing anything.
So I mean, what I'm getting then is that you really didn't want to have a metal band. I mean, right? Because if there's like all these elements of metal that didn't appeal to the kind of music that you wanted to be making, and I don't think of you as a metal band. I mean, you have metal elements, but I mean, you also have hard rock elements, and you also have, Caribbean influences. You have all this other stuff going on. So it's not. I mean, I think if you're going to compare SEPSISS to metal, it's never going to look favorable on either side because you're not. It's apples to oranges in that way. But maybe there's an orange spot on the apple. You know what I mean? Like you've got a little bit in there. So
dance music with distortion. It's really in guitars.
Well, and I think that there it's I think Melissa's vocals add not that they're poppy at all, but there is a pop accessible element to them.
Sometimes they can be.
There's
a little bit.
I mean,
influences. I've also got a lot of like Disney background.
Yeah. Okay.
So I grew up on a lot of like Disney movies. Particularly like The Lion King or Aladdin. Things.
So you're bringing all that in.
Little Mermaid. Oh yeah.
I can hear that sometimes in your traditional metal Ronnie James Dio Maiden-y type of stuff. Your storytelling.
For sure.
Well, that's all very theatrical, and and it does have almost a fantastical element to it, or even if you want to get to the level of like a Meatloaf or whatever, it's just all that.
That's exactly what for real.
Yeah. So okay, so then once you've got, because you must at this point have sort of rolled that checklist into your DNA because you've been doing it long enough, right? So when you sit down, I didn't know
what it was, and it was
okay. So you had to figure out what you were doing. Yeah. That makes sense. That's a good place to start. What the hell are we doing?
Up until the song "Push," I can't really say I knew what that was. Like we had the earlier stuff, but "Push" was one of the last songs that we snuck on to Almost 11. That's why it's called Almost 11, because we had 10 songs. Right. And we were like, we could just release it and then it would be Almost 11 because we had planned for 11. But then we decided to add the 11th song.
Well, it worked out too, because wasn't the band Almost 11?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the album was originally called 1111.
Okay.
So it was Almost 11.
Okay. All right.
Never was.
So why Push? Because that's
such a weird thing. Because you asked me like what's the writing process?
Yeah.
And the writing process is really difficult for me because I can't stockpile or pump out like consumer ideas. I cannot write like that.
Okay.
And
so
I'm
what
a
do you
lawbreaker,
do?
So me, for me to express myself in the realm of the music industry or what Spotify wants me to do in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I can't create like that.
Right.
And unfortunately for me, I don't make music for riches or fame or the music industry. So
you're making music for Melissa.
I have a curse. I'm going to tell you.
It's all for Melissa.
That's real. But so my curse is that I can write music usually really well, but the problem for me, I don't ever get writer's block.
Okay.
In order for me to write music, I have to live. And unfortunately for me, living includes pain. So in order for me to write music, I have to live.
You're not making him unhappy enough, Melissa.
So I can't. So for me, that's why I told you I'm not, if I'm ever writing, it's up to Melissa who writes in this band, not me.
Right.
I'll be happy to write with whoever, really. I look forward to writing with people if possible. But if I'm the one that's still writing on album 3 or 4 and I'm the person that's like holding the flag, I hope it better be with Glenn. It would mean that I would have to live a lot. And I don't know how much more of that type of living I'm willing to do.
Well, and that's it. That begs the question, because you are happy. You are satisfied, right?
Yes,
so I'm assuming that things that you have written, you're maybe, and I'm not prying, but I'm assuming maybe things from the past that you were pulling from.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
So, when I write something,
there's not an infinite well there to pull from. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We're really, when we're coming together, expressing them things. Like Yesterday Isn't Me was really difficult because we were going through, like double deaths. My mom had died and her brother was murdered at nearly the same type of period in life. So we just had to it was just a bizarre and extremely challenging time to be living and to be making sense of everything we were doing. And
you know what though, because that song, to me, the lyrics are very much about things are ephemeral, live in the present, exist where you are, pay attention, and that based on what you're telling me, that's the art you made out of the pain. That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, that's tricky because we don't want you guys to go through things that make good music for you, but what the hell are you going to do? So I mean, but would you really feel comfortable handing over the reins of writing for SEPSISS to someone else?
That's definitely a question. Much more to me, I work for SEPSISS. You know what I mean? That's, you know what I mean? So this band,
you're serving the band. Yeah,
this band saved my life. I mean, aside from having my best friends and Melissa and my family works here and all type of other stuff, SEPSISS saved my life. I joined SEPSISS after doing a very long state prison sentence. I grew up in county farms, in children homes, detention centers. You
were on that factory line. That only leads one way.
Yeah. I was born without. I didn't have no parents. You know what I mean? I had. I come from an adopted home where it was violent and abusive, and so I was fighting for my life. Since I was born. And when I joined SEPSISS, I was in the middle of fighting for my life. It was just, I just liked playing guitar and, somebody put me up to it. It was nothing I never believed in myself. I didn't think that I was going to have 40 followers. I didn't think I was going to write a song. I didn't think I was going to have a friend or an apartment. My job normally was trying to figure out where I was going to sleep or where
you were in survival mode. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd never had a place to live. I never had a girlfriend. I never had a pair of clothes. So when we started SEPSISS, I didn't have an amplifier. I didn't have it was just something somebody put me up to do. And I was like, whatever. And so for me, the band saved my life.
Well, it sounds like it allowed you to figure out who you are. Apart from all your trauma. You can't be creative when you're traumatized. You can't be iterative when you're trying to survive. All your bandwidth is just on existing and what's the next thing and how am I going to get through this day? So I can. I mean, I'm so glad that you said that because there's the passion for SEPSISS for me. And I think what's beautiful. I'm such a dork. I'm actually getting a little teary about it. But what's beautiful for me in what you just said is that SEPSISS seems to marry your past, which was full of so much pain, to your present and your future, which is full of beauty and joy with Melissa.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you can, you've got your shadows and your light in the same place. And I feel that in your music and I hear that in the lyrics.
That's
why.
Yes.
I don't know, William, honestly, that you will run out of ideas because I don't think anyone ever, you can heal from those things, but you don't ever forget them and they don't ever leave you. No. They're in your bones. That's who you are. But also, hope is terrifying when you never had any. Right. So if you grow up and you're on your own, and then you have friends and family that you've chosen and relationships and success and music and this outlet that you have, it is wonderful and it is fucking terrifying because it's unfamiliar. And if you're like me, where's the rug going to get pulled out from under me? Like, where's the catch?
For sure.
So, I mean, in that space, I think you will always have a place to create. And I think that you, given how you've tapped into all of that, and I mean, look, even something like Eyes of Empathy, you presumably read that in the paper and you were like, that was something that's pain. That's not your pain. I mean, that's you empathizing. Yes, but that's not your pain. That's her, there's a great line in there. It's like, all my love on the carpet. I'm butchering it, but sorry, Mom.
Brutal. It
is. And it's like, yeah. And I mean, it's such a great way to say it, like the love and the veins and the blood and the pulsing and who you are and what makes your heart and all that. But like, I think you unfortunately have an eye and a radar for pain because you grew up in pain. So you'll always, unfortunately, in the world that we all live in, there's always going to be inspiration in that, right? It just might be less personal to you. But I mean,
true.
I mean, so I think,
thank you for saying that to me, so I could think on that later.
Well, you're very well. No, because I don't see that.
No, that makes
I don't see that drying up.
That's good information and good feedback. I really
good. No, I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, no, because I think, I mean, I really do enjoy the lyrics. And if I feel like I can read lyrics as if it's a story or a poem without the music and still enjoy it, then it's where I need it to be. And
I want you to move to New Hampshire so you can come and hang out with me and Melissa so we can have intellectual talks about me. Where are you people? Why I need more people to move into my neighborhood that talk like that.
Well, you have the internet, so there's always that. We could always just pop on here and chat for a while. But I mean, like, I think don't be afraid of losing your art. I don't think that's possible. I think that's baked into you. And I also think that Melissa is going to remind you who you are when you might forget that in those moments, and that you will have that inspiration. And who knows, you may be able to write songs that don't come out of pain. Maybe you'll
allow other people to write music in Sepsis and answer her question.
Melissa's like, no, I will give you pain first, just to
right.
I mean, I'm not totally against it. It would have to be really amazing.
You know what, Melissa, and I'm sorry, William, I don't mean to throw you under the bus here, but I agree with her because
I'm shocked in this all the time.
It would be like handing it over to somebody other than Glenn at this point. Your voice is it's so part of the sound.
No, and we've formally gone to Glenn before. Like, look, that like, we can't produce with other people. It's not going to work.
No, you've ruined us for everybody else.
People have put, oh, come on, let me try one song on the house. We'll mix it. I won't do it. The last record label called me in the morning. They sent us a box of goodies, T-shirts. And I mean, it was the whole
full bribery. Okay.
I'm serious. These guys sent us a whole big welcome kit. And they said, we'll fly you over to New Jersey. We'll give you $5,000.
Okay.
We'll just write the song. We'll split the royalties with you. We just want to write the song. And Melissa said no.
Well, but this is the thing. You can't just sell out, right? I mean, you can't.
Not us at this point. Someone will say, "Gotcha." We knew it.
But I also that seems anathema to me, based on the two of you who have protected the core of this band so fiercely, that even people that you love who are part of the band, who you said have even, whether it's for a season or a little bit more than that, they've added some value to the band, to your life, to whatever, and they're not in the core, right? Glenn, if anybody, is in the core with you. He may be just on the other side of the door, but he's there. But like, how are you gonna feel okay? It's like handing your kid over to someone else, and being like, can you just please raise them the way I would have raised them? But you're right. So I don't, William, I think you may have screwed yourself.
No, I've said that a million times.
I've told him that myself.
No, we're gonna
you know what, Melissa, now that some random chick on the internet has said it, William will definitely take it in, and that was what he just needed to hear it from me.
I'm sending this to Glenn.
That's it. Glenn is now, he's locked in for life. But Okay, so just to pull things together a little bit, because I wanted to make sure we hit a couple of other little things there. You guys, obviously you've won a bunch of awards. You've got tours in the past, whatever. I wanted to give you a little bit of time just to love on your fans. I know November was the last Swarmy Fest, I think.
It was.
Yeah. So I know the plan is hopefully, it sounds like, to have officially put together the new lineup by the next Swarmy Fest. Is there a date for Swarmy Fest coming up next?
November 4th.
Yeah. Okay, so it's you. So you're going to do it same time every year. Okay, so
yes.
That's a little bit of work for you then, because that's 4 months away.
It is. It is. But our partner on it is NH Booking. They do a great job. I met with them right before coming on here with you, and it's absolutely confirmed. It's November 4th. It's at Club Jewel
in Manchester, New Hampshire.
In Manchester, New Hampshire. And I do believe there will be a second stage this year. I think there's going to be more bands this year.
Okay.
This is our second ever Swarmy Fest.
Yeah, and it actually comes out of another show that we originally created, which would have been the first Swarmy Fest, but we didn't have any Swarmies at the time.
Okay.
But we had a show
Swarmy Fest, yeah.
Yeah. So the
Just
show used to be called Wave Breakers. So Wave Breakers became Swarmy Fest.
Swarmy Fest.
Now it's Swarmy Fest too. So this is going to be an epic show. Last time we did 3 days, like VIP for 3 days. We rent out hotel rooms. We go play laser tag with the fans, bowling.
Yeah.
We bring them up in the studio. We do extra sets. We bring them to band practice, pizza parties, like whatever.
Very cool. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And I mean, Melissa, you seem to also spearhead a lot of because one of the first things, there are a couple things that pop up on, anything having to do with sepsis, the People's Medal. And then the other one just being this very interactive band fan experience. And I mean, you have your fingers in so many pies there. You've got the gaming, you've got the art, you've got Swarmy of the Year, you've got all this stuff. So, I mean, in bringing the fans in more closely than maybe, other bigger bands might do, what's the process there? Is it just, you want to make yourselves as accessible as possible? Like, what, I mean, I don't want to ask the question, what do the fans mean to you? Because that seems like a stupid question, but, where do you,
question.
or, okay, then I'll good. Thank you. Because then I don't have to think of another one.
The fans are absolutely everything. And you're right. I've got my hand in many pockets, so to speak. I did help design the website too. So I'm a little bit in the whole like technology section.
Yeah.
So I love to build
Melissa,
websites.
you do everything.
I like to do the wardrobe, makeup. Hair is not something I do, but that's definitely a big part of like what we do. So we've got the painting. I'm actually starting to learn how to do some of our own flyers.
Oh, cool. Well. Okay.
So eventually we're going to work more on that.
Live streams, podcasting.
Yep.
And it's all just designed to make the fans more of a part of the experience, right? Yeah. You got the Twitch, the Discord. Yeah, you got all this stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all, Melissa. And of course the group, like our Facebook groups.
Yeah, no, the groups are very important. Just like being able to talk with people.
She has the Female Fronted Alliance, which is just like
a whole bunch of like female fronted bands, and not even like fronted, but like just like females in bands.
Right?
Helping to share each other's stuff.
So it's not just sepsis stuff; it's like community work.
The fans are in that group too. So like I try to mix everyone together to make
that's cool. Accessible. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and I know that like in the Facebook group Sepsis the Swarm, you have all kinds of people posting there. So it seems to be kind of an egalitarian sort of, it's not like something that's just you guys are pumping out the same information to the fans. Right. Like the fans are actually in the
Discord is kind of like the Swarm.
It's an extension, It's
definitely like that, except it's more like a chat room. So
right.
like you have all
more casual
people together in one place where you can You can promote yourself, like say you have your own live stream or your own website or whatever it is you want to promote.
It's easy to corner the market here, Melissa, because, and I'm going to give you some credit. But I think that what you've done is you've taken advantage of social media and created a kind of like town square.
Definitely. Where
a community of people, creators, not just bands, podcasters, DJs, and
I try to give people that space.
There are just no other places online that do that. It's big fish, small pond stuff. There are no other bands.
No, I hear you, because it's people are looking for that. I mean, like I run a group called Band Together that's kind of in the same vein where, you know, the idea is like everybody's on the same footing, bring what you have to the table, share it with each other, support each other, you know, and don't just follow for follow, like actually pay attention. And so I was pleased to see that you guys had an avenue for that, or a couple avenues for that, really. Because, you know, I know that there are people who are artists who are on Facebook, bands, you know, solo musicians, whatever, where they have to hide the people that they follow on their profiles. And when you know, it'll look like they're not following anybody back. And, you know, when I've asked about that, when I was first getting into it, and I was like, wow, okay, you have like, you know, 20,000 followers or whatever, and it says you're following 0 people. I'm like, that's going to make you look like kind of a dick. And all of the bands were like, we hate it, but the label won't let us. The label won't let us show who we're following because it's like we're endorsing them or whatever. And again, it's sort of like what I was talking about before, that distance, you know, that I'm holding my fans at a distance, that we're somehow better than you or whatever. And I love any place where the fans are part of the experience, where they realize that they do have part ownership of the band, because without them, as I said, the band doesn't go anywhere, right? So it's like you can make the music, but if you don't have the fans, you're basically just masturbating in an empty room with it, you know, like it's not getting you anywhere. So I mean, I think it's cool because you're showing all these different Melissas. You know, you've got the Pokemon stuff, the art, you've got like all these little Easter eggs about yourself and your personality and your interests. And I think it's cool because it gives you more dimension. It would be very easy for you to go up there and be a very pretty paper doll that just sings and goes up there and dances and you know, twirls the hair and has the stance or whatever. But like, I find you so much more interesting knowing that you are all these other things too, that you're a little nerdy, that you're a little introverted, that, you know, that you're artsy and whatever. Like I think that's accessible, because so many of the people who like music like all of those things too. So you're sharing that, you know, and I think it's why you got. I mean, the fan base seems to be pretty intense about SEPSISS. Like you're not fucking with SEPSISS because the Swarmies will just eat you alive, and you have to do something to engender that kind of loyalty, right? So I mean, how much time does that take relative to all the other things that you have to do? Because social media is a full-time job in and of itself.
Kind of reverts back to the Discord again, because this is why I like having everybody in one space. Because it actually does save a lot of time. I can make my announcements really quickly in there. People will get notified if I'm going live. You got all the gamers in there too.
Yeah.
They have their own little section where they can game and talk. It's just a wonderful place. If anyone wants to join, go to discord.gg/sepsis.
That's right. You guys are everywhere. You're like the Borg. You're just assimilating everything. So okay, so we've gone through bleed lines, we've gone through, you know, working with Glenn, talked about Almost 11, talked about female fronted, couple fronted, you know, inspiration, songwriting, all this other stuff. I guess one more question I want to ask you before we wrap up with our last little segment is, do you guys have, each of you, a favorite SEPSISS song? And if you do, what is it and why? And if you don't, that's okay too.
I'm actually right now. Okay, so my favorite changes all the time.
Okay. complex.
So this is a very of the moment answer. Okay.
So it happens to be Bleed Lines, and I feel like that's so freaking cheesy. but it is.
Like my favorite song is the most recent one, whatever it is. No, but I hear you. So okay, but if you tell people why. Tell people why, because then they won't think it's just because you're plugging the new single.
So this song, this is a healing kind of song, right?
This is a song with all my new band members in it.
So SEPSISS, a while ago, we did this whole 23andMe experience where everyone got to figure out like what they are for real.
Like the DNA 23andMe thing?
Yeah, and in true SEPSISS tradition, we did it live.
Of course, I didn't see.
I did not see.
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
We gotta do it again now because we got all these new members eventually.
Oh yeah, we gotta go get their spit.
Yep, for sure.
23andMe is gonna love you guys. If the turnover continues, they're gonna be like, shit. All of our business model is just SEPSISS members.
Yeah, so that's the thing people haven't understood. We've been collecting everybody's DNA this entire time.
So yeah, we called it.
That's it. It's all been a plot.
You're right.
It's a 23 and SEPSISS series.
Yeah, look it up. It's funny.
And this was in order to find out like who we really are. Like,
even our merch girl's in it. We found out that she's in.
Lexi has a starring role. Okay, so.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, but so where were you going with this relative to the favorite song thing?
Right. So in the end, we all discovered that we're actually really the same. So the song is about like diversity in our music, the world,
and subgenres,
a diverse
metal
world.
And death metal and metalcore and rapcore and
we're all just
everything.
people.
We're just people.
Okay, keep going, Melissa. I hear you.
Everyone's peopling.
So that's why I like the song.
Okay, so it's healing and it's universality and shared common experience and all of that good stuff. Yeah. Plus it's just good. So okay. And the video, for those who have not seen it yet, you can even see the shoot in the Iron Yard. I want to say that was either 5 or 6 episode for Road to the Swarm. It was pretty recent. Yeah. So you guys,
I think it was number 6.
You can, so you guys can watch, just dragging tires over on the stage and then dragging them back the other way. Like it's the whole thing is in there. And thankfully it didn't rain. So okay. So William, you were shaking your head vigorously at this question. Do you not have a favorite, or were you?
I just knew she was going to answer that way.
I'm sorry, I'm cheesy.
It's such like
never apologize for cheese. Never.
William told her to say that for marketing.
I did.
Well, what the fans can't see at home is that William actually has his hand up the back of Melissa and is just puppeteering.
She's AI.
I'm just a puppet. I'm a robot. Yeah.
She's AI.
Perfect.
Yeah, actually, the effects in the Bleed Lines video were not effects. That's just what happens to Melissa. She just starts glitching. Yeah. All right. So, William, so what do you have a favorite, William? Do you have a favorite SEPSISS song, even if it's just temporarily?
Yes, because I don't listen to the music, so I have to think of it from a different place. When everybody asks us that question, they think about going to listen to the record. But I don't. The truth is, I don't ever listen to the records, ever, unless the very rare circumstance that I'm training another band member and that band member goes, "What's that weird fucking noise at 117?" And I go, "Oh,
and then you'll play it back.
My coffee." Right. So that, you know what I mean? So that the reality is I cannot stand listening to my music after it's been recorded. Because I've been through the process of it already. Right. I'm so happy.
It's not a living thing anymore.
No, right. Gosh, I just, you know what I mean? I don't mind if other people do, but that's because
you kind of probably hope that they do.
I'm all right. I'm already working on something new.
The next thing.
And I'm concentrated on what next to do. I don't celebrate often. Even when we've run awards, I'm like, ew, get it away from me. Like people be like, hold the award, take a picture with it. I'm like, nah, I'd rather just
keep moving. You're like a shark, William. You're like a shark. You gotta keep swimming.
Yes. Melissa, I just go. That's all I want to do. I'm just grateful to be here, and I just like to go on to the next thing. So I don't get wrapped up in the recordings. So I'll answer the question because I do, however, get wrapped up in performances because I like to perform. Live performance is one of the reasons why I do this.
Well, and it changes every time, so it is a living thing, so that makes sense. Okay.
So I'm going to go with one that I like to perform. And for me, for sure, I can't wait to do it again. Is Romance and Reality. We have been performing it, so unfortunately, there's no recording of it. But we've been.
I was going to say that's not a title. I know.
I know we've been. It's our next song that we have coming out. But we've been performing it as a band for a year. So like if you've been in some of the cities that we've played in, you might have already heard it. A lot of the fans have already heard it.
Okay.
But it's just got such a sexy little bop and groove to it. It's so much fun. It's very interactive, and I can't wait to release the record. So.
So when do you think that's going to happen? Actually,
well, I think we're ready to do it. Like, I think we're ready to like.
There's no like official date.
Yeah,
Melissa's like, we're keeping it. We're not. Shut up, William. We're not kidding.
We can do it tonight.
You. I don't think you saw her face, William, but I did, because Melissa just went. There's no date, William.
There's all you can't see. There's sticky notes all under here.
Okay, so
sticky notes.
It's both ready and not happening.
It is.
That's what I'm getting.
Ready,
okay,
and it's not happening.
Okay, all right. That's all right. So people will have to be on tenterhooks just waiting for it. Okay.
Now, I'll tell you this much though. Glenn said about Romance and Reality. He just said he's super, and I quote, stoked, and he looks forward to it.
He's stoked, Melissa. Stoked. He's like a fire. There's a fire in Glenn's pants.
When Glenn says stuff like I'm stoked, you need to be excited.
Yeah. All right. So coming soon. But we don't know exactly how soon. So okay. So what I hear there is that Melissa likes whatever the current song is, and William likes whatever the next song is.
I told you mine changed.
Yeah,
I know. No, you're covered in cheese, and we love you for it, and that's totally fine. So okay. So I end every show with a little segment that we like to call In the Vox Seat. I'm going to ask you guys 5 questions. Okay, it's the same 5 questions I ask everyone. I want you both to answer them. And the first one is, and I do not by any stretch of the imagination think, William, that you're going to be able to do this, having spoken to you. Maybe Melissa will, but if you had to sum up SEPSISS's music in 5 words or less, William's like, I'm out. I'm done. 5 words or less. You each get 5 words. Okay. What would you say? There's no way, William. I will give you $1 billion, William, if you can keep it to under 50. I'm going to be very impressed. Does it have to be like
a sentence? Or can we just be like...
Can you what?
Does it have to be like a whole sentence of 5 words?
No. I'm giving you 5 words. You do whatever the hell you want with them. Most people just give me individual words. So, and then sometimes people will look at this. They're writing it down. I feel like I'm a proctor at the SATs or something. Wait, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. You ready?
All right, I got it. That's all I'm going to do. I got to stop because I'm going to keep going. I'm starting to do chicken
Look at this. Okay. Is it 5? Did you count?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay. I
tell everybody to count all the time, and I get mad at them when they don't. So I got bouncy, yellow, sexy, energetic, melodic.
I'm going to ask you about yellow.
It's a guitar tone.
That's really funny.
Oh, okay. I was like yellow. I'm like Coldplay. I'm like,
it's funny you put yellow, because I said colorful.
Okay.
Mixed. Dancey, heavy, high energy.
Okay.
We're going to hyphenate high energy. We'll get you in under the wire. Look at that. You both did it. They fit, but they weren't the same. I'm impressed. Okay. All right. Your favorite thing, each of you, about being a musician?
Connecting with the fans.
Ooh.
Good answer.
Oh my
Good
God.
answer. You know it's your HeadRush. You know it.
Don't even lie. It's your baby.
I would say like intellectual breakthroughs. Like, you know what I mean? Like
expound a little bit on that. Tell me.
Okay, just like you know, like there's no like expiration date to awesome. You know what I mean? Like reaching, never having a plateau, never have made it. Never feeling like, oh, we made it. Like we never really feel like we're good musicians. Really, we just we just have fun. You know what I mean? And we try not to be like, oh, we're good or we're better, or we never try to compare ourselves to other bands or try to.
You should never set yourself a limit.
Right. Like we never, yeah, exactly. Just kind of, yeah. Yeah.
So intellectual breakthroughs and kind of the idea of perpetual growth and striving.
Yeah. Being able to be like, okay, there's no real threshold, and then breaking through those and rediscovering that there's no limit over and over and over again. Being not planning to be able to hit that big belt note and then cracking it and being like, well, I never really planned for this award. I never really planned a sweet pick like this. It's just a product of being in Sepsis.
Okay. All right. I like it. Look at that. He's so proud of himself. Look at that face. Okay. So now the flip side, your least favorite thing about being a musician.
Oh man.
Not having more head rushes.
People treating you unfairly.
Okay.
That does suck.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just more likely to be like people that are publicly available get exploited or taken advantage of a lot.
Well, I think the more public you are, the more ownership people think and they think they have to your life and judgments about it. And all of that,
so it's like this. We put out a generous amount of stuff on camera, but the people that watch us and what we put out on camera also think that they should have the privilege to who we are off camera, and that's not cool.
No, because you do have to save something for yourself. Okay.
We already put out so much of our lives, so much that it's disappointing sometimes when people are misunderstood about what they can't see. It's like, but we don't put that out.
One of my least favorite things, I think, would be like when people expect me to be there for them at all times.
Yeah, that's a social media thing too.
Yeah.
So just be constantly accessible.
That's like a technical, and that's a sepsis
people
thing.
Think I am online all the time,
because
everywhere, on all socials.
Because it feels like that to people.
Yeah.
If somebody's on the bus and they scroll, they might see Melissa or the next band or Christina.
If I don't reply to them
you too, Vox and Stix. It might be the same way when they're scrolling. They subscribe to you. They feel like you're always there interviewing bands, but really it's like you're taking the animals to the veterinarian right now. And it's like not ready.
Or actually feeding the kids or whatever. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I so in a way you guys have similar answers where it's about intrusion onto the parts of your life that don't belong to the people.
We just feel that we put so much out. We just feel that we put so much out voluntary. We let, we literally open up most of our day to people already.
Right. There has to be something you hold back.
That is disappointing sometimes when people think that they have the privilege to what little we have left for ourselves. It's like, oh, hold on. It's like, try not to use your imagination and pretend that you know what we're doing when we finally turn it off.
Right.
A little bit of civility.
1,000%.
Give us a little civility.
Right. And just, what a lot of people don't understand about boundaries is that they're not meant to hurt relationships. They're meant to sustain them. Right. So if you have to have boundaries with your fans, if you have to have boundaries with your staff, if you have to have boundaries with your band members, it's not to keep them at a distance. It's to keep the connection healthy.
Remember what I said about
maintain
social media too. Is it's one thing if you're in a really uninteresting band that nobody wants to talk to. Okay? But if you're in a small state or a small town and you've got the largest social media reach,
right? You're the big fish in the small pond, right?
That's what I'm saying. Right. It doesn't matter who plays well when everybody wants 30,000 followers on their whoopty snap, and that seems to be the most important thing and popular thing to humanity. When that seems like survival to people, and you're the one that has it, you know what I mean? That sometimes,
well, it's being coveted. Yeah. So yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think that's important for you guys. I mean, especially considering that your personal lives are so intertwined with your professional lives.
Right.
You have
Amy
to reserve.
Lee doesn't hang out with her fans. You know what I mean? Like even some smaller bands, you know what I mean? They're in the green room, or I mean, how you don't usually see small bands at our size at 15 or 20,000 followers on their Twitter. They're not sharing that space with other bands. They're not sharing that play space, and they're not sharing their fans with other people the way that we do. They're not opening bands with 100,000, 50,000 followers on Facebook or Instagram aren't opening the doors in their Discord the way that we do. They're not out there spending.
It's interesting though, because what I'm hearing and what you're saying is that it's almost like the bands that don't give anything, the fans don't expect anything, but the bands that give a lot, the fans still expect, or the people still expect more.
I really wonder. And let me say that most people, 97% of the people that we interact with are fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, I don't get that. No, I mean, you're not complaining, William. I'm not hearing that. It's just about having something that belongs to just the two of you. That's you have a right to that. So you don't have to defend wanting to protect it. We're
okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to come off like a snob because
I think sometimes because you're so passionate and you are so open, you may say things, and then if people want to misinterpret them, they can. But I'm approaching you, the two of you, and everything that you're saying from the standpoint of you clearly love your fans. You clearly want your band to be open to your fans. And, even the people that might not be in the band anymore, you still have affection with them and relationships with them and history with them or whatever. Yep. So I don't get the sense that you're doing anything other than just saying like, hey, it's not all for everybody else. There's stuff that's just us. I'm right there with you. So, okay. So, Melissa, you said the social media, constantly needing to be accessible piece. So I wanted to make sure we, so she's not always online, guys. She's online a lot, but not all the time.
We want to be open with our fans. We just can't answer every second.
Yeah. And it was a lot easier when social media wasn't so important to literally everyone. Not every see, there were used to be users, and then there were creators, and then there were
the lines are very blurry now.
But now where everyone is influenced to be a creator and a public figure, and so normal guys that you see at the grocery store are now looking at you like, oh, you got 13,000. You know what I mean? Like everyone's go
to a different grocery store.
Everyone we haven't gone to the grocery store in years.
I hear you. I don't miss it either, but okay. This one I'm very curious to get an answer to, because I have no idea what you're going to say. You might not even answer it, but if anybody, if there's any question of the five that musicians seem to hate me for a little bit, it's this one. So if you only had one album to listen to for the rest of your life, and yes, it could be SEPSISS or it doesn't have to be, but only one album for the rest of your life, what album would you pick and why?
Lexi,
that's a really hard question.
I'm like, William's looking at Lexi. I know it. He's like, tell me what my album is. What album do I want? Right. All right. Melissa, is it Disney's Greatest Hits? Is that what we're...
No, it's Michael Jackson's Bad.
Okay. I love that answer. Tell me why.
Well, actually, Michael Jackson is a big influence of mine, and not for his dancing, but for his vocals. So vocally, I feel like I could probably listen to that album forever. I could dance to it. I love his voice. It's great.
It hits all the boxes for you. Okay, Michael Jackson. All right.
And William
has had a moment. Yeah, he's like, I'm leaving. No, you're not. Sit down. No, you're not. We got one more question left after this. What's your answer? You can do it. Pick something. I know you have something.
I've got 1998. The band is a rap band called Onyx, and the album is Shut Him Down.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about what I know an Onyx song, and I'm trying to think of what it is. They had one really big hit, didn't they?
Yeah, Slam.
Okay. Yes. All right. So why that album? That album?
Because Onyx was the first hardcore rap group that turned me on to heavy metal bands and screaming.
Okay.
So when I listen to Onyx, when I listen to Onyx, I hear what is acceptable in the street, and I hear a ferociousness, you know what I mean, in a type of energy that matches my upbringing and my interest in music.
Okay, see, you did it. You were gonna leave. You did it. You did it.
I was nervous.
Believe in yourself, William. Believe in yourself.
I don't like to pick just one because you know what I mean? Because I might change my mind. I don't like to contradict myself.
This is not a real situation, so the stakes are very low. This was just a hypothetical, so it's not like I'm going to show up at your house and take all your other music away. So, all right, this is it. I mean, we started off with a super intense philosophical question about life as a video game and cheat codes. I'm going to end on an equally deep philosophical question. All right. Your toilet paper roll. Does the paper come over the top of the toilet paper, or do you pull it out from underneath the toilet paper, and why? Over the top.
Over the top.
And is there a why?
Is there a why? Well, okay, I'm a super neat freak. And that's just the way it's supposed to go. It needs to be over.
Why?
It's easier to rip off the little pieces of paper, you know? You have no clue what I'm talking about. If you try and
I hope so. He does use toilet paper, presumably. So, okay. So, well, and when you say that's how it's supposed to go, are you referring to the fact that is in fact the way that the patent was written for toilet paper? Or it's just in your estimation?
Do they have instructions?
I'm a neat
freak. Do. They have toilet paper instructions.
Everything just like goes a certain way.
I think it matters right? No, I don't know.
All right. So, William, you seem torn on this idea.
I know.
I just go over the top.
No.
Absolutely.
I use baby wipes.
I get mad when it's the other way.
Okay, so toilet paper is not even on your radar. You don't even worry about it.
I haven't used toilet paper.
Honestly, I use baby wipes too.
Yeah, we haven't gone to the grocery store and we haven't used toilet paper since 1997.
But I have toilet paper in the house for guests.
Yeah,
and over.
And here's my rock and roll advice for all you rockers out there in your tour buses and your RVs. If you're wiping your ass with dry paper, you got another thing coming.
If that's all you got, I understand.
You need to upgrade because we don't do nothing in sepsis, but
I'm getting a new merch idea. Frankly,
I'm trying to tell you.
But when everybody was going crazy over
maybe you have a line of baby wipes called like ass of empathy or something like that.
When the pandemic it was ass of empathy. When the pandemic happened and everybody was running around fighting over toilet paper.
Fine.
You guys were fine. You were fine. Look at that. Innovators. You were future makers there. You didn't even need the toilet paper. Okay, so we've learned something today, maybe more than we wanted to in certain areas, but we've learned something today. Okay, listen, William, Melissa, you guys have been a pleasure. Thanks for making the time. I know things are incredibly busy for you right now with just everything that you've got going on, but I really was looking forward to getting into a deep dive on this with you, and it was just as fun as I thought it was going to be. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, guys, that's another Vox and Guest. We will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.